some remarkable surgery at Monash Children's Hospital. Toddler from Bangladesh. She was, she's born with a remarkable physical difference, I guess. Outwardly healthy, but a third leg attached to the back of her pelvis and some other organs and parts of another body, I guess. And she had some surgery in Bangladesh, but she's had some really important and radical surgery here. Associate Professor Dr. Chris Kimber joins us. He's head of surgery at Monash Children's Hospital. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Raf.
Explain the surgery you had to perform.
So, Raf, Choity had something that we call caudal twinning. So she'd had like another part of a baby develop in her pelvis. And what they'd done in Bangladesh is they'd diverted her bowels so that she could pass stool through her abdomen, and they'd removed part of her leg, but she was still left with a large mass that's sitting there in her pelvis between her two normal legs.
Well, so there's like sort of part of a body growing out between her legs sort of thing.
Yeah, correct. And then because there's part of a twinning there, she had two rectums, two vaginas, potentially two anuses, double bits that had sort of grown into a very abnormal area. So we thought about her for a long period of time and then removed the part of the leg that was left behind and removed parts of the abnormal twin, like a second rectum, and then reconstructed both a new way for her to pass stool and a new way for her to pass urine, which is a
has this been
fairly
done before?
daunting task. Well, these cases are all pretty rare, Raf. You might see one in Australia maybe every 20 or 30 years. Around the world, they're really rare. And so each of them is a unique individual. And so the operation is sort of determined by the individual, and you have to spend a lot of time trying to analyse what's there and then plan a procedure that takes into account. It's not like there's a standard roadmap that you can go, that's what it is. You've got to look at the MRI scan, examine her even under anaesthetic, and then try and come up with a plan based on her very unique anatomy.
And how did she end up having surgery with you? Who organised that?
So the doctors in Bangladesh contacted us, and there was a donor who identified her in Bangladesh, and they weren't prepared to treat her any further. And so the Children's First Foundation contacted us and saw whether Monash Children's would take on this sort of work. And then we spent a lot of time Skyping and talking to the doctors in Bangladesh and trying to work out whether any further surgery was possible and whether it would be any benefit to her. And then she came out to us in July, August for assessment before we undertook a much larger procedure.
And how old is she? How likely is she to have a relatively normal life once all the surgery heals?
So she was 2 when she came, and she's 3 now. She's now walking and running around. Her weight's increased. She's continent of stool and urine. She's got some partial blindness, but she's interacting normally. She's speaking normally, and we expect her to go back to her village without medication or sort of surgical aids. My feeling is she may need some further corrective surgery in the middle of her teenage years, but for the rest of it, she goes back, and her mother, Shima, who's from a very poor village in Bangladesh, will be able to care for her, and she'll be able to remain within her family in that village.
How is the mother, Shima, through the process? It must have been pretty daunting.
I was very impressed by Shima's attitude and intellect. So she had little education and spoke little English. And when we first arrived, we talked to her about Choity's procedures through interpreters, and she asked very intelligent questions, and she continued to push us not to just sort of divert the organs and let stuff come out onto the skin, but to see if we could make her continent. While she's been in Australia with Choity, Shima's English has improved remarkably, and she's been an active part of her care and recovery. And so she's now got a very supportive mum. I think that she's very switched on and will do very well back in Bangladesh.
Thanks so much for your time, Chris. Well done.
Thanks, Raf. Have a good evening.
Associate Professor Dr. Chris Kimber, Head of Surgery at the Monash Children's Hospital. So Choity and her mum, Shima, heading back home.